It is a victory Monday, Browns fans. Yes, the Cleveland Browns defeated the Baltimore Ravens for the first time in Baltimore since 2007, and they shoved the Ratbirds to the basement of the AFC North. The Browns improve to 2-3. Ravens fall to 1-4. Welcome to the Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara, alongside Browns insider from WKYC Sports in Cleveland, Matt Florjancic. Matt, I was expecting the worst. We both predicted against the Browns. However, we've never been so happy to be wrong.
Well, if that's what it's going to take for this team to win, I'll pick against them every week. I don't care. I'm just happy to see my city excited about a victory over the Baltimore Ravens, and it's a good thing for everybody involved, the coaches, the players, the people that have to sell the tickets on a weekly basis, and the people that buy the tickets on a weekly basis. Everybody's having a victory Monday today. Everybody's having a good day. It was a little easier when you heard the alarm clock this morning to get up and go to work, and you had a big smile on your face when you did it because your team finally exercised a demon or two by winning in Baltimore for the first time in the last 9 years, and first time since they ironically last won in Baltimore by the same exact count that they also won an overtime game.
That's crazy. That is, and it went to overtime too. And Matt, I don't know about you, but the entire time, just like last week in San Diego, where they had the late lead, I thought, all right, well, it's Joe Flacco, 13-1 against the Browns. He's just going to find a way to beat us. It's just going to happen. Then it got to overtime. Pettin, I felt, mismanaged that clock late, didn't use the timeout, ran out of time. Okay, well, there's our shot. Then we won. It took actually until that field goal went through, and then even a few seconds after the referees raised their arms for me to actually believe that we defeated the Ravens. The Ravens. What a feeling.
Yeah, it was a great feeling. It was a little bit of angst on both ends in the final seconds because I think neither team managed themselves in the way that they wanted. I think the Ravens' play calling was suspect at best when in those final minutes as they drove down the field, and they had basically walked down the field, but when Justin Forsett went down, changed the entire complexion of their play calling, and they went with a pass in some very different situations that I wouldn't necessarily expect them to. And then the Browns, throwing that pass to Travis Benjamin to get a few more yards. It was a good idea. I just wish there was a few more seconds left on the clock. And there would have been had Josh just thrown the ball away rather than trying to roll out and make something happen on the previous play. But, just nitpicking those two things, it really was like the game everybody fought so hard to win, but nobody wanted to finish the job because both teams made some pretty interesting calls. And like you said, Pettin electing not to use the timeout. I think had they lost the game in the final seconds or needed a game-tying field goal at the end, and they didn't have those extra 20 or so seconds, 30 or so seconds that ticked off the clock, I think people would have called into question Pettin's time management skills. But fortunately for the Browns, that didn't happen, and this is a victory Monday, and it is a much-needed victory Monday for the city, and something that they hope to have again next Monday after welcoming Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos to Cleveland.
Matt, I could not agree more. Now, a couple of, one historic happening with Josh McCown, and another with Gary Barnidge, big play Gary, just lighting the world on fire as a tight end. So our Twitter question for the Doghouse Show to you today, Browns fans, at AndyMC81, at Matt Florjancic, you can get us on email, thedoghouseshow@gmail.com, is what is more surprising to you over the last 3 weeks, let's say? The success of Josh McCown or the success of Gary Barnidge? Now, for Josh McCown, of course, he has thrown in the last 3 games for over 300 yards consecutively. That's only been done by a couple guys. But the historic factor is he has more passing yards than any Cleveland Browns quarterback ever. More than Bernie, more than Otto Graham, more than Brian Sipe, more than anybody. The record books belongs to Josh McCown. And then on the other side, Matt, you look at Gary Barnidge, another 100-plus yard game, another touchdown, made the butt-crotch catch that was just will be on Sports Center forever. And he has emerged as from this journeyman tight end as a legitimate playmaker and have people rushing to their fantasy waiver wires to try to pick him up. What's more surprising to you? Whose success is more surprising?
Truthfully, it's been Gary Barnidge. We knew he was a good, serviceable tight end. We didn't know how good he could be because realistically, he's not had the greatest of quarterbacks throwing him the football since he's been with the Browns. And he was slated as more of a blocking tight end anyway when Rob Chudzinski brought him in with a little bit of a pass-catching ability. We had seen Josh McCown show glimpses of how good he could be in different spots in his career, most recently in Chicago. And seeing the way that he threw the ball against San Diego and against Oakland, you kind of had the feeling that there's still something in the tank. But with Barnidge, it's been like, wow, this guy's made back-to-back, like, highlight reel, ridiculous catches in back-to-back weeks, and had, in my estimation, made the best part of that catch yesterday was the fact that he had the presence of mind to reach the ball across the goal line. Because I'm standing in my kitchen watching the game, screaming at the television, he's not down yet. He's not down yet. Nobody's touched him. He's not down. And God bless my wife. She was probably thinking I had lost my mind. And to some extent, that might have been true. But nobody touched him. And he had the presence of mind to stick the ball across the goal line. And all the offensive linemen are running down. And they started celebrating the touchdown. And I knew they were right because I was watching the same thing they were. And it's just been awesome to see him blossom as a pass catcher and be a complete tight end, one that continues to be a playmaker for this Browns team. And he is fast becoming the favorite target of Josh McCown. But the thing that Josh McCown really impressed me with is that he distributes the ball to his other playmakers in a very good manner. It's not like with Johnny when he was in and he went 8 of 15. He didn't have to throw 50 times to win the game because they had those explosive plays, and most of the passes were going in the direction of Travis Benjamin or another fast, quick wide receiver. Whereas Josh McCown, if you look at his stats, 9 targets for Benjamin, 8 for Barnidge, and all these different numbers that you can throw out, and it's really impressive how he distributes the football and uses every weapon that they put out there for him, including the running backs, and that's been something that's emerged as well over the last 2 weeks.
Well, Matt, and the reason he has to spread the ball around so much is because, on paper anyway, name-wise, there are no stars. Like, if you ask a fan, just a general fan across the NFL, Cleveland Browns, offense, name me a guy. They're going to name Johnny Manziel. That's where they're going to go first.
That's it.
They're going to go Johnny.
That's where the conversation starts and ends.
Yes. So, for Josh McCown to be able to, and credit to Gary Barnes, big target, 6'6", and as you said, really, the first time in his career where he's been able to be used in a playmaking role, he's stepping up. Travis Benjamin is a legitimate threat underneath, over the top. He's been great, and then mixing in Duke Johnson, he had 6 catches as well. Hey, even Rob Hausler had a catch. That's how good the day was, Matt. Rob Hausler, who was supposed to be Jordan Cameron's replacement, had a catch. So for McCown to be able to throw the ball and for the running game to only have a combined 83 yards, 12 of those from McCown, I thought was phenomenal. And Matt, here's what I'm thinking. Despite themselves, the Browns, they came in, they wanted to this season. They wanted to be a running team. They wanted to defend the run. They can't defend the run. They can't run the ball. So just to purely exist, they've been having to throw the ball, and by happenstance, it's working. Maybe they're onto something despite themselves.
Well, Mike Pettin said it yesterday in his post-game press conference that this was one of those games where he legitimately looked at John DeFilippo, the offensive coordinator, and said, we're going to have to throw it 50 times to have a chance because we cannot run on this Ravens defense. They're too stout up front. We just don't have the horses in the barn to do it. You can look at that one of two ways. At least he had the sense to realize that there was a problem in the game plan, and he pulled the card and said, hey, we're going to fix it. And then you can look at it the other way and go, why can we still not run the football? What is wrong with our running backs and our offensive line, more importantly, that we cannot get any push at the line of scrimmage to run? So they're still a little bit alarming about that because at some point, Josh McCown is going to take a big hit having to drop back 50 times.
Yes.
It's just that kind of – the odds are not in your favor. Let me just put it that way. And, when you've got Evel Knievel at quarterback, that doubly, enhances the risk of something bad happening to the quarterback. So I would like to see that running game at some point get jump-started. But when I listen to Josh McCown and he says, look, if we got to throw it 40 to 50 times a game to win, I'm willing to do it. It doesn't matter to me. Let's go and do it. So the attitude is there, but the execution in other parts of the game have to continue to get better for this team to have the ultimate success that they want, because they're built to stop the run and run the football, and they can't do either right now.
You're listening to The Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara, alongside Browns insider from WKYC Sports in Cleveland, Matt Florjancic. By the way, if you haven't got the free app, pick it up. Just type in the Doghouse Show, The Doghouse, in your Google Play Store. For Android devices, our free app, so you never miss an episode. You can also subscribe on iTunes, get us on our YouTube channel, and Spreaker.com. Follow us on Twitter, too. We always tweet out the links to the shows at AndyMC81 and at Matt Florjancic. We'll get to your tweets on our question: whose success is more surprising to you so far through the last couple of weeks, Josh McCown or Gary Barnidge? We'll get to those in the Barkov a little bit later on. Now, Matt, I don't know about you, but when I saw Josh McCown roll left, run into the end zone for the touchdown, put the ball up, I kind of just expected him to leap and do some sort of weird flip just in honor of his helicopter week one. I'm glad he did not. But he had a pretty darn complete game. Now, you got off the phone. There was a conference call a few minutes ago for McCown because he did have his ankle injured. What's the latest you can tell us on that?
Well, he says that his ankle feels okay. He's going to continue to get treatment on it over the next few days, and he's hopeful that he'll be able to go against the Denver Broncos on Sunday, which it's good that he's at least honest in saying that he's going to get treatment on it, but hopefully it's not the dreaded high ankle sprain. We've had a few quarterbacks in our years go down with those, and those are never fun, nor are they easy to handle. So let's hope that that's not the case, that he'll be able to just fight through whatever he's being bothered by, and it'll work out for the Browns, because with as much momentum as he has going forward right now, I would hate to have it derailed for any length of time, whether it be a week, a couple weeks, or, God forbid, 6 to 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain. So the hope is that he'll be able to be on the field against the Broncos, and we'll see whether that comes to fruition or not.
It'll be, I would much rather have him on the field with that role that he is on right now against that Broncos defense. We'll get into that more on Friday's show and start worrying about Peyton Manning and the Broncos. But it's a Victory Monday, so let's celebrate this win over the Baltimore Ravens again for the first time in Baltimore since 2007. By the way, 2007, the last time the Browns had a winning record, 10-6, and missed the playoffs on tiebreakers, which was absolutely heartbreaking. So, Matt, lots of positives on the offensive side. You mentioned the running game, still like next to zero push from the offensive line on so many plays, banging their head into a wall and not even being able to get to scrimmage to have a chance to find a hole or find those lanes. But switching to defense, they made the stop when they needed to in overtime. They made the stop late in the game. I will give them credit for that. The problem is still gave up 181 combined yards on the ground. Justin Forsett lit them up, and if he didn't go down to injury, I don't know if we would be having a Victory Monday right now. Like, Matt, it just seems like there is no answer. There is nothing that can be done with this team to stop the run. And now they're being gashed up the middle, too, which at least was an improved part of the defense for the first couple weeks. But now even that's going away.
Yeah, it's alarming in the fact that we're the cure-all for every running back who has ailments. Justin Forsett did not have the start to the season that he wanted to after being a Pro Bowler for the first time last year, and he rushed for almost half of his regular season total in a little bit over 3 quarters against the Browns. So that tells me all I need to know right there is that there's still some serious problems in setting the edge, and there's a lot of guys tackling air right now.